Welcome back. I wanted to put something out right away before I really dug into what I'm looking into right now, into what I'm researching, because I thought it was important to get this out there because there's so much fear right now swirling around, and it's understandable. And I'm always one to be optimistic. I have a lot of faith, and I really want to share some of the things that I'm seeing, just in the hopes that others will at least consider it and maybe relieve some of their fear about everything going on, not just surrounding this virus, but also surrounding the 5G that's supposed to be rolled out. Actually, that's already being rolled out here, and that's been rolled out in other countries. So I put out a live video the other day on my Facebook group where I sort of discussed some of the rabbit holes I'm digging into right now. And I really didn't go into a lot of detail of what I'm looking into. I just kind of said, these are the things that I'm trying to make a connection with, or at least my ultimate goal is to find solutions for the issues we're facing, not just with the coronavirus, but also with 5G. And I'm just going to put this out there. And nobody has to believe me. They don't need to, believe or even agree with what I'm saying. This is just something that has been coming to me. And I am really feeling compelled that I want to share this right now, even though I really haven't had the time to truly dig in to make the connections. I'm sure other people are very distracted as well, and so I've been working on different things, trying to find some balance, really studying things that are going on, and also trying to put it in terms of even like the biblical aspect, right? I have a very strong faith, and I do believe that we're living in biblical times. Of course, that's how it always is, right? But we're actually experiencing some of that prophecy. So, like, as a real quick note to that, for example, while I have an issue with the fact that our economy is entirely shut down right now over this virus that I personally do not believe warrants the shutdown, especially now that we know certain things work to actually treat the virus. And I've been saying for a long time, vitamin C, that, not very many people get that. And although I guess a lot are getting it, because it seems to be very difficult to find right now. So maybe people are catching on. But the good thing is that there's other things, and we need to look at that, and we need to try not to allow ourselves to be sucked into the fear, especially the fear that the mainstream puts out, because that's what they want. Ultimately the goal is to get us all vaccinated and trust these people that really, if you look at who these people are, they're not your friends. They've been making profit off of our illness for so long. So I really just want to put out information that will ease some fear and maybe provide some hope in times like this, because it's all doom and gloom, and it's so strange if you have to go out anywhere. You see people with their masks, and I mean, I think if it makes them feel protected, I think they should do it. If it's something that they're saying is beneficial, particularly to keep you from touching your own face and stuff like that. So if you're touching anything else and you're wearing a mask, you're going to be less inclined to touch it. Although I have seen people wearing masks and they pull them down and they still scratch, and it's so it kind of defeats the purpose. But the point is that it's a scary and strange time right now. We really don't know what to think, and I have my own feelings on everything, which I don't really feel like sharing through this group, because that's not my goal. My goal is to discuss 5G, because the energy and what's going on, and how I perceive the nationalization and the different things that are going on. And then I want to share how I think we can protect ourselves from the effects of it. And I want to make a connection between that and the virus, because a lot of people are out there sharing information about 5G that is very fear-mongering, if for lack of a better way of saying it. So what they're out there sharing is basically unsubstantiated. So there's a lot of people are saying, oh, it's not really a virus, it's something else. It's actually poison from the 5G. Well, poison, relatively speaking. It's radiation sickness from the 5G, which presents the same way that people believe it presents the same way. And I'll tell you, I think so too. And that's kind of why I'm doing this video. I don't believe that there isn't some sort of pathogen. I have not been able to wrap my head around some of the things I'm learning about how a virus actually works, or how it might not be a virus, like not be contagious, because I think so I'm hearing two different lines of the reasoning and things that are going on with this thing. And so I'm trying to figure out if it's possible, right, what some of these people are saying, that it's not really a virus, or if maybe they're barking up the wrong tree entirely. And I'm trying not to get too wound up in that, just because I don't know. Again, I'm solutions based. So by trying to figure all of that out, it doesn't necessarily give me a solution. It just maybe gives me an answer. I want to know, how are we going to protect ourselves from, if it is a virus, how are we going to get rid of it or protect ourselves from it? If it is 5G, how are we going to reverse any damage that it does or protect ourselves from it? So I learn as much as I can to try to get to that point. That is the ultimate goal, because what good does it do to understand something that is so harmful when you can't figure out what the solution is? So that's my goal. I think it's really a mistake for a lot of these alternative channels to put out videos talking about all the harmful effects and how, there's going to be this rollout, and now the president is in on it because of this nationalization, and that's it. There's just no hope. So we're done. So what's the point of life, right? What's the point of living? I mean, I don't buy that at all. And like I said in my video on the nationalization of 5G, I believe it's a good thing. And I'm looking into a lot of different things that confirm that, and I'm seeing it. Okay, but for the purposes of this video, to try to keep it short, I just want to tell you some of the things I'm looking at and my theory or idea. And yeah, you might call it a conspiracy theory. I don't care what you call it. It's just an idea that maybe people need to think about. One of the things I've been looking into is how this virus is attacking the body. Whether it's a virus or something else that other people are saying it's not really a virus, I don't really care. I want to know, what is it doing to people? And what I've found is that it is affecting basically the uptake of oxygen into the cells. And the way it does that is by inhibiting the binding of oxygen to the hemoglobin to carry it into the cells. And I'm not a biologist and I'm not a medical doctor, so forgive me if I'm not going to give you all the technical terms. I'm trained in engineering and science, so I can understand this, but I'm not going to be able to regurgitate it the way a biologist or a medical doctor might be able to. I'm just trying to give you a really basic kind of idea of what's going on. Okay, so ultimately what people are saying is that they're feeling very suffocated, basically, when they get this virus. And they're saying that it's presenting as pneumonia with these like I don't know how to, I forget how it said, the study said, but basically the chest x-rays are showing that the lungs are being overcome by something, whether it's fluid or something else, and that's basically making them feel suffocated. And what it sounds like to me is that the reason this is happening is because oxygen is just not getting into the lungs the way it should, and it has to do with the way this virus is attacking that process of attaching oxygen to the hemoglobin. I've heard from people that are both medical professionals and those quoting medical professionals that are saying that it is everything something bad that people are saying. So it is like a really bad feeling of suffocation, and they do need to ultimately get put on ventilators to breathe, because it's causing them to lose oxygen, basically. But what they're saying is that it's not really pneumonia. What it really looks like is altitude sickness. So it looks like when you take somebody from sea level and you put them at the base of Mount Everest without having the opportunity to build up that resistance, or build up, train your own body to harvest the oxygen in the air to benefit, fully, basically. And so we know that it's possible to condition yourself to thrive at low oxygen levels, at high altitudes. Now, of course, it's above a certain altitude. It takes a lot of conditioning, and still you can die and everything like that. But the point is that this virus is acting like a high altitude sickness. It's acting like that type of issue. So it's obviously an oxygen issue, right? It's an issue of, it's not just a matter of attacking your immune system, and your immune system isn't able to fight it off. It's a matter of attacking your oxygen uptake. Now, this is where I'm getting to make the connection between the virus and 5G, because a lot of people are claiming that it isn't the virus, it's really 5G. I don't believe that. I believe there is something going on, whether it's a virus or some other kind of pathogen or some other mechanism. I'm not sure, because I'm not a virologist. That's not my field, and for what I'm trying to say, I don't think it really matters, although I do want to learn, so I'll be looking into it further. 5G, the issue of health relates to how certain frequencies can affect the process of binding oxygen to hemoglobin. So basically they're saying that certain frequencies can inhibit that binding. And one frequency is the 60 gigahertz, that is the 5G frequency. And that is why people say this is presenting as the same kind of issue. And I'll put it together in a different either video, or I'll write it as one of my blog posts about when you look into materials science and you look into oxygen binding with iron, and how certain frequencies can affect these processes, right? Well, we're energy, so obviously there's frequencies going on right now within our bodies, without our bodies. I mean, we're harvesting energy from the sun in order to synthesize certain nutrients and vitamins. So you have to be able, and this is why I wrote my book, because you have to be able to see certain things in terms of energy, including our own bodies, and through frequencies or frequency ranges, and understand that our bodies are accustomed to certain frequencies, and these higher frequencies, or certain frequencies that it's not accustomed to, is going to affect our physiological functions, our biological functions. So what I'm seeing, based on what people are saying about 5G and what it can do to you physically. Now, this isn't a conversation about what it can do to you mentally. That's a whole other thing, because it can affect your mind, because again, think about our brain being the command station for our entire body, and that's where all the electrical signals start, and that's where they all go out. So obviously when you have frequencies like that, and then you couple that with certain metals and metal salts, which I'll talk about in a different video, it's going to affect that too. So for right now, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking just about the physical aspects of getting oxygen to your lungs and to your cells. So what I'm seeing based on this is that the virus and the 5G aren't necessarily the same thing. I have yet to find anything that makes that connection, that they are the same thing. What I do see is that this virus is acting the way 5G might act in your body. And so bear with me as I try to explain this, and I don't want to get too kooky on this theory. So I will say that I've been learning that this is a manufactured virus in a lab. So whether it was intended to be a bioweapon or not, that's what a lot of people think. I don't know, and I'm not going to comment on that because it looks like it, but I'm not willing to make that my message, right? So it may or may not have been. My theory is, what if, and could be completely out there, but what if they created this virus to mimic what 5G would look like, so they could study the real effects, or as part of the reason maybe to study the real effects of 5G on people and what might work. I know we've got the talk about getting a vaccine, and I know that's part of it, but maybe the good guys knew, and this is going down a whole other rabbit hole, but maybe the people that knew that this might happen, because we have intelligence in this country. We're not a stupid country, right? That's the whole point of all these agencies, and some of them are at odds with each other right now, and that's, I think, part of the war we're in right now, is these intelligence agencies at odds with each other, but they all have intelligence. And so what I mean is they all know what's going on. So anybody who thinks that some members in our government did not know that this virus was going to be released is crazy, because they know. Whether they tried to prevent it is another story, or whether they were containing it, I don't know. That's something that only the intelligence agencies would know. But the point is that if there were good people, the people on the good side, on the side of the people, that knew that this virus might be released and allowed it for whatever reason, or did not, maybe, I'm not sure how to say this without sounding really outrageous, but who maybe turned the situation around to say, okay, this will give us an opportunity to figure out how the body will really react to 5G, because it's basically almost the same mechanism as what I'm seeing, and that's what I'm trying to say. That being said, and of course I have to dig into this much further, so please do not take this as gospel, do not take this as anything other than with a grain of salt, because this is just for me to put it out there so people can think about it, maybe do your own research, share with me what you find. If this theory sounds completely bonkers, you can tell me why or why not. Because this is just something that I've been feeling, not just thinking, but feeling, So, and the reason is because we know now what helps with COVID-19. So obviously we know about vitamin C, and this is one of the things that I will dig into, because I've been a proponent of vitamin C for a very long time, even before the talk of this virus. And I want to understand how exactly vitamin C is helping treat the virus, because it is, and it's been officially used as a treatment in some Asian countries, even though they're suppressing that information here in our country. So I want to know, and I'm going to dig into it further. I probably have already researched this before, and I just need to refresh my memory, and I need to go back to the studies that I read about several years ago when I first started learning about vitamin C. But there's going to be a mechanism, because vitamin C is both a pro-oxidant and an antioxidant. That means it's going to bind also with iron, and I know that lower levels of ferritin in the blood help the vitamin C do its job a lot better. So it helps the cells absorb vitamin C a lot better. But you have to have an adequate amount of vitamin C. And that's why I tout, based on what I've learned from doctors and the people that tout high doses of vitamin C, that's why. Because at low doses, it acts as a pro-oxidant, but at higher doses, it acts as an antioxidant at mega doses. So the pro-oxidant means that it's going to oxidize some cells or whatever, right? And what is that? I mean, the process of oxidation on like iron. And so this is where I'm going to eventually go to with my research, so I can hopefully make some sort of connection in layman's terms about why vitamin C is working. But let's switch over to this chloroquine or hydroxychloroquine. The base material or base compound in hydroxychloroquine or in chloroquine is quinine. You can find this just from a search on the web. And quinine is an anti-malarial drug that is very effective, natural drug that's very effective, and it's used for other things as well. Well, we know that hydroxychloroquine is working. We've got several doctors coming out saying it is working. Now, I don't know if it works for all cases. There's one doctor who is saying that it reversed every single one of his patients' symptoms. So, of course, this is anecdotal. You can't take this as how would I say, proof, because to do an adequate study, you need double-blind, control groups and everything like that, which they have not done, or maybe it's being done right now. I don't know. But the point is that we know that it's worked. And there's an article that I shared on my own page and possibly on the Facebook group page, which I will share it there also, that discusses how the virus is attacking the mechanism for binding oxygen to the hemoglobin. And so here's where I'm headed, and this is where I'm going to leave it. That being the case, if we know that if it looks like the virus is attacking the body basically the way 5G would attack the body, then who's to say that we couldn't use the same treatment or remedies for those people who suffer from the ill effects of 5G? So that's where I am with this. I'm saying we need to feel hopeful that, and then to go into the nationalization part of it, what I'm reading and I'm learning, and I urge everybody to look into Cyrus Parsa that I mentioned before, find his book. Apparently, what I'm finding out now is that he's one of the definitive experts on AI, artificial intelligence, and 5G and the dangers and what 5G really is. And I've said this before, 5G is a weapon system. 5G is not to bring your speeds faster and streaming times quicker. That's not the purpose of it. It's a weapon. And it's a weapon that can control people's minds, and it can control so many things. So look into Cyrus Parsa, listen to what he says, and listen to what he says about our country. If you notice, when you go look for him, he's not really going on to local videos. He tells you that he's been suppressed and everything. So you'll see all that he's been trying to sound the alarm, and mainstream sources are just not giving him the airtime. But he has gone to alternative sources, and he's getting airtime on some of these channels, to be interviewed. And what I find interesting is that he's not really getting on the ones from out of the United States. He's really seems to be focusing, maybe I'm wrong, but he seems to be focusing on channels in other countries, because right now with our nationalization, he's even said it. He hasn't said it this way. He hasn't really come out and said this, but I also haven't seen necessarily a very recent video of him. But he's saying that he got his message across to the president, and the president took heed. So he's basically saying now we're very fortunate that we have the president we have, and that he actually took action. And that they're nationalizing it. So just like I said, when I realized this, when I saw it, nationalization is not a bad thing. It doesn't mean that our government's out to get us. It means they're actually trying to help us. Now we just have to see what the policies are that they roll out, which is why we need to give our public comment. But on the other thread that I was just talking about, realize that now that we know what this virus does to the body, and it basically is similar to what 5G can do on the body. As long as there's a remedy for this virus, it sounds to me like we'll have a remedy for 5G as well. Now that's very hopeful for me, That is my goal, is to figure out solutions and how we can use this situation to our benefit. And don't discount this hydroxychloroquine because you hate the president, because the media told you should hate him and that it was irresponsible for him to put it out there. It saved lives. And that's what matters, and that's what should matter. And if what I'm saying, if you want to reject what I'm saying automatically because of that, then I think you need to do some self-reflection on what your goal is, what your motivation is as to everything going on. Do some research, look into it. Who's promoting vaccines, and who's promoting something else that is not only available right now and has been available for a very long time and is proven to treat a lot of different things, but also the fact that you have a natural version of that you can access also, which I think is where we need to look in the future and even now. So I sure hope that this gives you some positive enforcement for everything that's going on. There's lots of things to be worried about, like the economy and things like that, but I really don't want to worry so much about our health. I want to have solutions. So let me know what you think. If you think I'm totally out there, or if my ideas, my thoughts are just completely outrageous. And of course, this information is just evolving, so I might find something that says, okay, wait a second, maybe I was wrong. So just, like I say, take what I'm saying maybe with a grain of salt, do a little bit of research yourself, but know that there are solutions and we're going to figure it out. Have a great day.